The National Desk, America's News, now.
No one in this country is above the law. Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant.
Another guilty verdict is in. Hunter Biden convicted on all 3 charges. The fallout as recent courtroom rulings cross over into the political world. The latest crime statistic trends after historic highs in 2020 and 21. What the FBI says about crime rates across the country. Then it's the most common form of cancer in women in the country. But what if there was a way to stop breast cancer before it began? A new treatment may be the answer. This is the National Desk, America's News Now. I'm Amira David. Another first for the country. A jury has found President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, guilty on 3 gun-related charges. And it comes less than 2 weeks after former President Donald Trump was the first former president to be found guilty as well. And let's get right to national correspondent Kayla Gaskins, who has more on what we know about today's verdict and what we can expect to happen next. Kayla.
So, Amira, after a week-long trial and 3 hours of deliberation, President Biden's son Hunter found guilty on 2 counts of lying on an application to buy a gun and 1 count of unlawfully possessing a gun. The verdict comes almost a year after Hunter Biden nearly had a plea deal to get the charges dropped. That deal fell apart.
No one in this country is above the law. Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant.
Justice Department prosecutors zeroed in on October 12, 2018, the day Biden filled out an application to purchase a gun, and on the application, which asks if he was a user or addicted to drugs or controlled substances, he answered no. Prosecutors highlighted embarrassing photos and text from his laptop to boost their case, while his defense attorney argued that there was no evidence to prove Hunter was using drugs on the day he purchased the gun. Prosecutors also called 3 of Hunter's exes, including his brother's widow, Hallie, with whom he was dating when he purchased the gun.
The Hallie Biden testimony was very convincing for the jury. After all, they were in a close relationship at that time, but she had evidence that I'm sure she was reluctant to want to testify, that he'd been using drugs, that he'd been purchasing crack cocaine at the time.
President Biden said last week he would accept the outcome of the case if Hunter was found guilty, and that he would not pardon his son. In a statement after the verdict, the president added, "So many families who have had loved ones battle addiction understand the feeling of pride, seeing someone you love come out the other side and be strong and resilient in recovery." Hunter's attorney, Abby Lowell, said, "We are naturally disappointed by today's verdict. We will continue to pursue all legal challenges available." Sentencing will take place in the next 120 days, and Biden faces up to 25 years in prison. He's also due in federal court for another trial in September. That's for federal tax charges.
And Kayla, how are Republicans reacting to this conviction of the president's son?
So there's been a pretty wide range of reactions. Amira, this conviction came just 2 weeks, like you said, after Trump was convicted in New York for falsifying business records. So some, like Representative Jason Smith from Missouri, are calling this verdict a step towards ensuring equal application of the law regardless of someone's last name. Now, a Trump campaign spokesperson, though, is calling this case a distraction from the real crimes of the Biden family. That's a reference to allegations Hunter Biden sold access and influence to his dad for money while Joe Biden was vice president. The GOP impeachment, though, inquiry here on Capitol Hill has since stalled. Amira.
All right. Kayla Gaskins live in Washington, D.C. Thank you for breaking that down for us. A Florida federal judge has overruled key parts of a medical ban on gender transition treatment for minors in the Sunshine State. In a 105-page ruling, Judge Robert Hinkle said that gender identity is real and called puberty blockers and other hormone treatments, quote, widely accepted standards of care. According to the order, Florida can regulate treatments but may not ban them. Governor Ron DeSantis called the ruling erroneous and has vowed to appeal. And we are learning more about the man suspected of starting a 3-alarm fire in a Miami complex yesterday. Police have arrested 73-year-old Juan Francisco Figueroa and charged him with attempted murder and first-degree arson. Figueroa lives on the 3rd floor of the building where the fire started. Police say he got into an argument with a maintenance worker before shooting him and then starting the fire. More than 40 people were evacuated safely from the blaze. The worker is in critical condition. Figueroa has already spent 7 years in prison after being convicted for attempted murder back in 1992. Violent crime is dropping in the United States. That's according to newly released FBI data. It shows that there was a 15% drop in violent crime reports in January to March of this year as compared to the same period last year. There were also more than 26% fewer reports of murders. Speaking in Delaware today, President Biden touted his efforts to enact stricter gun control laws as part of the solution.
The year before I came to the presidency, the murder rate was the highest increase on record. Last year, we saw the largest decrease of murder in history of it. And those rates are continuing to fall faster than ever. Last year, we also saw one of the lowest rates of all violent crime in nearly 50 years.
Meantime, federal and local law enforcement are teaming up to crack down on a tool that can be used to convert a handgun into a machine gun. It's called a machine gun conversion device, most commonly referred to as a switch. The National Desk's Jordan Elder is in San Antonio with a look at their rising popularity.
All of that gunfire coming from a 9mm handgun. And it's because of a small, illegal device often referred to as a switch.
They possess the capability of turning semi-automatic firearms into fully automatic machine guns.
This is one of the alleged gunmen arrested in that deadly ambush in Converse back in December. Joe Isaac Yanez, who was 19 at the time. Records show the victim was threatened before this happened, told she, quote, couldn't outrun a switch.
We've seen a sharp increase in the number of switches on our streets across Texas, and they are alarmingly popular among juveniles.
From 2017 to 2023, ATF agents in Texas seized almost 1,000 switches. And to give you a better idea of this rapid increase, about half of those were seized in the last calendar year.
We've seen here in San Antonio that firearms are often modified with switches or machine gun conversion devices after they are stolen from law-abiding citizens.
We've been talking with ATF officials about these devices for months now. Robert Topper tells us criminals can get them online from foreign countries, or they can be 3D printed right here in the U.S.
Here's our vault right here.
After they're seized, the switches often move through here, the ATF vault. To catch them quicker, the U.S. Attorney's Office and the ATF are introducing Operation Texas Kill Switch. It's a partnership between law enforcement and anonymous tip lines like Crime Stoppers, so you can report people using or manufacturing switches. But with their rising popularity, will that be enough? The Bexar County Sheriff's Office tells us they see switches all the time.
We did find several weapons that we believe to be equipped with switches that would make them fully automatic weapons.
That was after a raid on the southwest side just last month. Esparza says our district attorney's office is one of a few across Texas looking into how they can deliver consequences for this through state law.
That was Jordan Elder reporting. The FDA is warning certain clams and oysters farmed in Oregon since May 28th of this year could contain paralytic toxins from local algae. Symptoms can include tingling of the lips or mouth, possibly numbness in limbs or even respiratory paralysis, and can occur within 30 minutes of eating. These shellfish are known to have been distributed to restaurants and retailers in Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, and Hawaii. Other states may be on the retail list as well. At least 31 people have reported illnesses. The FDA warns everyone not to eat or serve any of these shellfish. In the bribery trial against Senator Bob Menendez, the prosecution's star witness faced cross-examination just today. Defense attorneys looked to poke holes in businessman Jose Uribe's testimony that Menendez acted as a godfather-like person who exerted his power on everyone around him. Uribe pleaded guilty before the trial and is cooperating with prosecutors. Menendez is accused of accepting gold bars, cash, and a car in exchange for political and legal favors. Menendez has pleaded not guilty and says his wife arranged the ploy without his knowledge. Coming up, tens of millions of Americans are at risk for severe weather right now. Who's in the path of extreme heat and dangerous storms? Then, the latest on a Gaza ceasefire proposal as Secretary of State Blinken continues his work to secure a deal. What Israel and Hamas are saying today. Then, several people have been hospitalized after swimming in a Virginia lake over Memorial Day weekend. What we know so far about why. Right now, 14 million people are at risk of severe thunderstorms in parts of the central U.S. and also the East Coast, especially in south central Texas. The risk will be heightened in the upper Midwest tomorrow with severe wind, hail, and tornadoes possible. Parts of Florida are also forecast to get severe storms that could lead to flash flooding this week. And 24 million people are under heat alerts right now with excessive heat warnings, watches, and advisories extending from California to Texas. Sacramento was forecast to reach 103 degrees today. Las Vegas was supposed to hit 112, and Phoenix was forecast to be 113 degrees. That is excessive heat. And these dangerous temperatures are going to spread across the country this week, reaching the East Coast by Friday. The fate of a U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal remains unclear a day after the UN Security Council endorsed it in a unanimous vote. Tonight, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in the Middle East, continuing his pressure campaign on both sides to embrace this deal.
We have the prospect of an immediate ceasefire, building toward an enduring one, and tremendous relief for people in Gaza, but also opening prospects for Israel to build enduring security, which is what this country needs and has wanted from day one of its existence.
Blinken says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accepted the plan, though Netanyahu has yet to do so publicly. Hamas has also seemingly received the plan favorably and issued a reply tonight that the AP reports stopped short of an outright acceptance, but did offer hope for further negotiating. It comes as a Wall Street Journal report citing leaked text messages from Hamas leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, says the group believes it has gained the upper hand in the conflict, calling a prolonged war and civilian deaths necessary sacrifices in achieving an independent Palestinian state. The timing of the text messages was not clear and therefore may not reflect their current stance. Meantime, $400 million in new humanitarian aid announced by the United States today for Palestinians in Gaza. The news, of course, a welcome development for Gazans who right now are very, very much without homes and amidst ruins. 75% of them are homeless and displaced. Everyone there facing a hunger crisis. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo was on Capitol Hill today for a closed-door deposition about how he handled the COVID-19 pandemic. Specifically, House Republicans are seeking information about Cuomo's order that placed infected patients in nursing homes and senior care with vulnerable populations and the reporting on those who died. Cuomo called out the inferences made against him and other Democratic governors as partisan.
It's ironic today that you hear complaints about the weaponization of the justice system when they nuclearized the justice system. The Department of Justice investigation, 3 of them, found no wrongdoing.
Also in question is how New York reported the specific death numbers. In 2020, the New York Department of Health had reported just under 9,000 people died in nursing homes from COVID. But a review by the New York Attorney General's office in 2021 says that number was later revised to over 13,000. Today, House Republicans took a step toward holding Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress for refusing to turn over the audio of President Biden's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur about his handling of classified documents. They already have the transcript, and the Justice Department says handing over audio could hurt the integrity of future investigations. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar has more.
Attorney General Merrick Garland says he will not be intimidated.
And the Justice Department will not be intimidated.
But if House Republicans get their way, Garland will be referred for criminal prosecution.
Attorney General Garland's willful refusal to comply with our subpoena constitutes contempt of Congress.
Republicans on the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees spearheaded the effort to hold Garland in contempt of Congress after he refused their demand for audio of the interview President Biden did with Special Counsel Robert Hur about his handling of classified documents. Hur's investigation ended with no charges. One of Garland's loudest critics, Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, has himself refused to comply with a congressional subpoena. His came from the House Select Committee on January 6th. Garland says this about not granting Republicans' request.
Releasing the audio would chill cooperation with the department in future investigations, and it could influence witnesses' answers if they thought the audio of their law enforcement interviews would be broadcast to Congress and the public.
Garland also argues the audio would not give Republicans information they don't already have from the transcripts and documents the DOJ's provided. If the House does vote to hold Garland in contempt, he's not actually expected to face criminal prosecution. But it will be the latest thing to fuel the partisan fights over the integrity of the justice system and the integrity of Republicans' investigations. In a new Washington Post op-ed, Garland detailed the bomb threats and death threats that are born out of conspiracy theories about the DOJ, whose employees, he writes, live by an unwavering commitment to the fair and impartial application of our laws. That commitment has been sustained by dedicated career professionals who serve across administrations of both political parties. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atra El-Nashar for the National Desk, America's News Now.
Tonight, a suspect detained in the stabbing attack on 4 American professors in China. The instructors from Iowa's Cornell College had been teaching in China's northeastern city of Jilin when a 55-year-old man began stabbing them at a public park. The instructors were rushed to the hospital, none in critical condition, but the motive in this attack remains under investigation. UAW President Shawn Fain is under federal investigation for misconduct against 2 other top union officials. The exact allegations were not detailed in a report by a federal monitor. Fain led the auto union to sign large pay increases after their weeks-long strike last year. In an official response to the investigation, Fain said he endorses the review against him because he knows what it will find, a quote, UAW leadership committed to serving the membership. Honda is recalling over 114,000 vehicles due to an audio display error. The defect can cause the rear view mirror camera to fail when the vehicle's engine is started with a key, increasing the risk of a crash. The recall impacts the 2018 through 2022 Honda Fit and the 2019 through 2022 Honda HR-V, which were also part of a previous recall. Owners will be notified by July 8th. Breast cancer is the most common cancer found in women across the country. And every year, roughly 43,000 people die from it in the United States, including more than 500 men annually. But now a new therapy to prevent cancer in those at high risk is in clinical trials. Medical reporter Liz Bonas shares how it helps program the body to fight back.
Hey there, everybody. It is still in early studies, but a vaccine to try and stop breast cancer before it starts now showing promising results. Researchers say early results like these could make a difference in saving lives.
The concept of the vaccine is to target a certain protein in the body present only when breast cancer develops. It is now in its first human trial at the Cleveland Clinic, which provided this video. Amit Kumar, the CEO of Anixa Biosciences, a partner in this clinical research, told me it's designed to teach the immune system to fight back.
And so if the immune system is properly trained through vaccination, then when those cancer cells arise, the idea here is that the immune system will immediately notice those cancer cells and destroy them.
Right now, the vaccine is being tested in women who are cancer-free after treatment, but are at high risk for breast cancer recurrence.
We're giving it to women who already had breast cancer, and we are specifically focused initially on triple-negative breast cancer.
In the more than 24 women who participated in this trial,
the data is looking more promising than any other vaccine technology in the cancer space that has ever been developed.
While human trials are still in early phases, the hope is that it would give those such as Dr. Matthew Kurian, a breast cancer specialist at Kentucky's St. Elizabeth Cancer Center, one more option to help those at high risk never develop cancer.
And also people that have gone through treatment, maybe administering a vaccine like this and preventing the cancer from coming back potentially as well.
Now, obviously, this is just the first of small trials, but many others on vaccines are in the works. We'll let you know when it might be moving to the next phase. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonas reporting.
All right, Liz, thank you. And coming up, self-checkout systems are presenting a new wave of theft challenges to stores. How much criminals are getting away with right after this. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering the issues that matter most to you. We're taking the pulse of America.
Oh my God.
It's the now viral video showing 2 Seattle officers beating a man with batons on a sidewalk. This recording comes from a witness who says it happened at a bus stop on Rainier Avenue South in late May.
This is an inexcusable amount of force to use.
It's led to this march near the South Police Precinct. As these protester signs will tell you, the group is demanding the unnamed officers involved be fired and prosecuted. The only response Cuomo has received from SPD has come in the form of a statement from Seattle Interim Police Chief Sue Rahr. She writes her staff is gathering video for her review so she has a more complete picture of the entire incident.
It's as easy as scan, pay,
go.
It makes it easier for guests to come into your store, pick out the things that they want, pay on their own terms, and get out as quickly as they possibly can. And that's very desirable.
Self-checkout systems are quickly becoming the norm, but convenience comes with a new set of challenges for companies. 31-year-old Richard Repper of Boynton Beach made his first appearance in court Monday after he was allegedly caught exploiting Target's self-checkout lanes to score big discounts on Pokemon trading cards. The Loss Prevention Research Council works with dozens of big-name retailers, helping them find new ways to prevent and detect theft. Director of Research Corey Lowe says retailers lose billions of dollars every year to sticky-fingered shoppers attempting to outsmart the system.
It's a parent's worst nightmare.
This Fauquier County mother told 7 News the nightmare started when her 15-year-old daughter came home from a day at Lake Anna in Spotsylvania County.
She left on that Friday that weekend, and she was fine. And now she's like fighting for her life.
She says her daughter was taken to the hospital after suffering from brutal symptoms. And she says she's had at least 2 rounds of dialysis. Some neighbors told us large groups of people dock their boats at a sandbar, and some people decide to use the bathroom in the water. So the neighbors told us they weren't surprised to learn the lake might be contaminated. 7 News asked the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation if they're looking into this. They have not responded yet.
And coming up, players like Caitlin Clark are taking the WNBA to new heights, the record that was just broken right after this. The so-called Caitlin Clark effect just might be carrying over to the pros. The WNBA says the beginning of this season, which started May 14th, has been the most watched on TV networks in the league's history. An average of 1.3 million people are tuning into the WNBA games, tripling last season's average of 462,000 viewers. Roughly 400,000 fans attended games last month, which is the highest seen in 26 years. Well done, Caitlin. That does it for this edition of the National Desk. We invite you to join us again this evening for more coverage on America's top stories. I'm Amira David. Thanks so much for watching.